In the second of 6 presentations, we'll cover how we can make an effective change in our children's schools. And in this presentation, we'll cover the scope for change in schools. In the previous presentations, we covered the changes to sex and relationship education in schools. And in this presentation, we'll talk a bit more about what changes we can realistically make in schools. And in particular, to focus on the government's guidance that covers how this subject should be taught. Now, we can transform the way in which schools teach RE or RSE. That may sound like a bold claim, but I believe that is the case. In order to do this, we have to understand what the guidance requires of schools so that we can remind schools of our central role as parents in shaping how these subjects are taught. The government guidance on RE and RSE does not make it compulsory for schools to use particular resources. It does not state in which year groups different discussions or topics have to take place. The government has really provided a lot of flexibility for schools. The guidance makes the following points very clear. Number one, parents are the prime educators and the first teachers for their children. That schools really don't replace parents, but schools support parents in doing this job. Number two, schools must consult parents in developing and reviewing their policy, which has to meet the needs of pupils and parents and must reflect the community schools serve. Now, I think it's very important that we recognize that the schools are required to consult parents and to take into account the parents and the community the schools serve. Number three, schools should also ensure that they consult parents. This is very important, and we need to ask for schools to engage with a meaningful consultation with parents. Number four, all schools should work closely with parents when planning and delivering these subjects. Number five, schools must also ensure that their teaching and materials are appropriate, having regard to the age and religious background of the pupils. So I think this is very important. That is a very important point that we need to stress. Schools have to take into account the age and religious background of the pupils when deciding on which resources to use and how this subject is to be taught. And finally, schools will retain freedom to determine an age-appropriate, developmental curriculum which meets the needs of pupils and also is developed in consultation with parents and the local community. So schools need to adapt how they teach RE and RSE to reflect the age and faith background of pupils, as well as working closely with parents in planning and delivering these subjects. So parents need to be involved at the earlier stages of the planning of these subjects. That is why when you approach schools, you should be confident that you are not asking for special treatment. You just want the school to implement in their planning and delivery what the guidance sets out in terms of the role of parents in shaping these subjects. In the next presentation, we'll talk a bit more about how we can approach schools.